I'm reading a new book, The Hungry Brain, Outsmarting the Instincts That Make Us Overeat. And I'm actually excited to start learning about this because it talks about there's so much more information now about, people overeating, diabetes, obesity, and it's just like we live in an even more obese generation. But what's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm gonna start doing like a little new style because usually when I make videos, I tend to sit down, talk a little bit, but today I'm gonna record a video, just a little bit talking about how to still lose weight without feeling guilty about going out, how to be able to still go out, eat some dinner with your friends, go to restaurants and enjoy the finer things without feeling guilty and still being able to lose weight while we make breakfast. It's like almost 12 o'clock, so I've been fasting for a good amount of time, and now we're about to cook. So I had my coffee in the morning in my little Italian mocha machine, and I honestly like it. Like, I used to have coffee in the morning from when I lived back at home from an espresso machine, and don't get me wrong, I loved it and I miss it every day. But something about this, this simplicity and this minimalism just hits. Like, I look forward to, my morning coffees with this thing because number one, this shit is strong as fuck. I'm telling you, this is strong. And number two, it's like cute. I don't know. It works. Anyway, while I was reading my book in the morning, going for a walk, show you guys here my little rice cooker. I finally got a rice cooker because cooking rice in a pot sucks. It is probably the worst thing on human, just the planet, because number one, it's so messy. Like, I'm telling you guys, it's not even funny how much of a mess, and every time I wanted to cook rice, it got. So we got our ground beef here, 130 grams. It's getting a little brown, so it's about time we need to cook it. With the pan warming up, we're gonna make this with some eggs, rice. I gotta chill with the onions because I gotta go to the gym later today, and then if somebody ends up talking to me and smelling my breath from the onions, this is not gonna be a good show. So maybe we'll hold off on the onions right now and stick to some tomatoes, throw some onions in later for dinner. But let me go warm this up. I need to get my phone real quick because I did have some notes written down here that I wanted to talk to you guys about with. So, what is the topic of the video anyway? I wanted to talk about how to eat without feeling guilty and gaining weight. So imagine your friend asks you to go out to dinner and you have to think about it. Or even say no, in fact, that you have to think about it because you're worried you're going to gain weight. And this tells me something about how you approach life. How you approach your diet is completely wrong. Be disciplined when you're alone. And I want to really talk about this because people, discipline is easy when you're doing it for somebody, when somebody's watching. But the way you're able to enjoy, the finer things in life, like going out for dinners, eating garbage food from time to time, is only when during 95% of the time when you're not doing those things, you're still on tact and you're still doing the things that are required in order for you not to steer far away from your path. It's really easy to live a balanced life and, go out for dinners, go out to do random things when, we spend most of our time, like I would say, 80% of our time by ourselves. Obviously, I'm not talking about like work and stuff when you're around people, but like right now, I'm just like alone in my apartment. I'm not always outside and going out for dinners. I'm not always out and about. Like you do spend some time by yourself. And that time by yourself, when you're spending it, it's so much easier to be, a little bit more strict, a little bit following a routine and having some like order and structure to your life. So that way, when you go outside of like the norm of your structure, routine, and journey, you don't have to necessarily worry about it because you're just going to go right back to it, right? Like yesterday, it was Sunday. I told myself, okay, there's nothing planned for Sunday. I'm not going to follow any sort of structure, routine. I'm just going to allow the day to unfold how it does. And I'm going to start doing this a little bit more on Sundays because like it's a nice way, in my opinion, to kind of like reset, kind of get back into like serenity in like a very peaceful way where I just have nothing planned. And I really like this, not only because it like allows me to be a little bit more stressless, but like it's almost like a form of therapy because like I live in a very like disciplined and like routined mindset and like day to day from like even Saturday sometimes, but like Monday to Friday for sure. And it's good because it allows me to stay and hit all my things that I want to hit. It allows me to, follow and get my habits and goals in order. But it's a little bit like, I don't know, I think it goes against our nature and biology in a way, in the sense that, like, we were hunters and gatherers. Like, we were in caves, we were like doing like, we just wake up and like, okay, let today be an adventure. So I think like connecting to that like adventure aspect is nice. But I don't know how the hell I got so off topic about food, but be disciplined when you're alone. When no one is watching, have the same meals. Track your shit if you have time. So track your stuff only if you want to. Like, I'm tracking because I need to get to a very sub body fat percentage that requires you to track because there's no other way through it. Like, if you want to get to sub 8% body fat, I'm sorry, you got to track what you're putting into your body. Why? Because I'm just making sure my beef doesn't burn. Why? Because you have to be so much more particular about how much you are putting inside of your body. Because there's less room for error when you are leaner. I hope that makes sense. Because when you're, at the heavier end of things, heavier side of things, you have more room for error. You have more room to, you'll still lose weight without being in such a fluctuation of calories. It just comes down to math in the sense that, like, for example, I want to make this actually very easy to understand. I want to say 2,000 calories. If somebody's, let's say, maintenance is, call it, person A's maintenance is 2,000 calories, right? And then person B's maintenance is, because obviously the leaner you go, the lower your maintenance goes as well. So yeah, let's say person A's maintenance is 2,000 calories. Wait, I'm gonna flip this, watch this, ready? Oh, that's what's up. Just gonna make sure I don't burn it. Person A's maintenance is 2,000 calories. Person B's maintenance is 3,000 calories. Now, as you go down in body weight, your maintenance goes down as well. So what ends up typically happening? You have less room for error. So here, this is all your calories you can eat for a day at 3,000 calorie maintenance, right? So if you go, I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Like, it's actually kind of hard to like multitask, like cook and talk about like a complex topic. So I'm gonna save that for another video and just like talk about the other point that I wanted to make, because like I can't math and cook and talk and make sure my breakfast doesn't get burnt. So if you want to know about that video, I'll make a separate video about that actually. Why the leaner you get, the more precise you have to be with your tracking, and the harder it is to lose 1 pound. And it just comes down to like calories and compared to like ratio percentage wise. But anyway, another reason why what I wrote down about how to eat without feeling guilty and gaining weight, you know, like eat out, is don't eat out every day. Treat it as a privilege or reward rather than a constant pleasure. Cook your own meals, or if you have money, buy a meal program. First of all, if you have money and you don't have a meal program, what are you doing? We live in the 21st century, and for you to say, like if you have some serious dough and I don't have time is your biggest excuse, you can't use that excuse anymore, because there's literally companies that will ship your food meal programmed out to you to your front door. So my friend, I don't have time is not an excuse anymore. Believe this. And then number 2, I don't understand this new generation of eating out every single day. Like, you do not need to eat out every single day. Cook your own meals. Because if you're gonna eat out, okay, fine. At least make good decisions when you're eating out. Okay, wait. I'm gonna cut this out. That way, yeah, I don't know how Gordon Ramsay does this. It's honestly like cooking and talking about, like, I guess because he's talking about cooking, so it's easier for him, but like cooking about and then talking about like complex fitness topics, it's just not that easy. Yeah, so going back to the topic of not eating out every single day, simply like when I go out and eat out with, you know, like yesterday I was at a pizza restaurant, like an Italian restaurant, eating calzone, and I didn't feel guilty because I don't eat out every day. And I know that whenever I do eat out, it's more of like a privilege rather than, you know, it's just something I'm doing again. Because if you treat it as like a norm, you're gonna get norm results. But if you treat it as like a reward, or like, you know, some people like to treat it as like with client meetings or dates or stuff like that. Sure, if you have a date night with your whatever wife once a week, then that's great. But then once it becomes the norm, it becomes the norm, and it's hard to, adapt and switch it out. Oh yeah. And then it becomes like something you look forward to rather than in like a pleasure, rather than just like a norm. The biggest and easiest way to avoid that is just by cooking your own meals. And I know a lot of people don't have the time, and they say, "Oh, I don't have time, Matthew, to cook my own meals." Okay, well, if you don't have time, that means you have money, because obviously with your time you're either working to make money or you're, I don't know. And if you have money, then buy meal plans or spend it on like a chef or something in order to cook your food for you. Like, there's so many opportunities. Obviously, it depends what kind of echelon of wealth you have, but like, if you're not too wealthy and you can't afford meal plans and programs and, your own chef, you gotta cook your own shit. And if you are really wealthy and you don't want to cook your own shit because you legit don't have time, you gotta get on meal plans. Like, there's what's it called? There's what's the right word? Opportunity? No, there's a result, or there's something for everybody. Because nowadays everybody wants to have these like annoying, like they want to take shortcuts. Peptides, GLPs, I don't even know like the whole peptide industry, because I just think it's like extremely stupid. Like, okay, sure, some people need it and benefit from it, but like, if you see social media nowadays, there's like 15, 16, I don't even know, 18, 20-year-old kids that are just taking all these stupid peptides, and it's just a trend nowadays where it's just like, what happened to like hard work and consistency? And that's like why I also don't like, I'm not a really big advocate of like Ozempic and shit. It's like, okay, if you need it, you need it, right? Like, if there's something wrong with you, like there's a reason for it, right? It's the same thing with like it's the same thing with my thoughts on like Advil and all that other shit like that. When you're, okay, if you're in pain, you need it. But if you just spent an entire night drinking and now you wake up with a headache and you want to take Advil, like, what are you, a pussy? Like, you put that onto yourself. You inflicted that damage to your body, and now you're just trying to get away with it by taking an Advil. It's like, okay, if you're gonna drink and you're gonna be hungover, take the hangover like a man. And it's the same thing with like Ozempic and stuff like that. It's like, and like all these peptides, it's like, okay, if you had some sort of, I don't know, insane, like, I don't know if I want to call it like depression, or like if you had some sort of disease that prevented you from eating, or I don't know, what's the right word? Prevented you from working out, or some sort of sickness, and you gained some weight, and I don't know, you need Ozempic, you need these like peptides because like you can't do it without it, and you didn't inflict it on yourself, sure, like from an accident. I understand where you're coming from. But if you're just like, you just don't have self-control when it comes to your eating, and now all of a sudden you want to just take like a shortcut just because you're lazy, bro, like, come on. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are that you can just That'd be look, people think you need to eat a little bit of food in order for you to lose weight. Ready? I'm about to show you how massive this meal is. First of all, that's all my rice, right? Then we got some eggs right here. Oh, I wish I could show you this. So I like to cook my eggs sunny side up, so like the yolk is still runny. And since I don't use too much sauce, because sauce is insanely calorically dense, I put it upside down just like that. I'm gonna take my next egg. They're slipping out of here. Yeah, just put it like that and then pop the yolks. So the yolk starts falling just like that. See, just like that. Pop the yolk. See, not this way where the yolk is facing up, but I want to twist it upside down just like that and have the yolk seep into the rice, right? Just like that. Like look, I'm telling you, look how much food this is. And then I'm not even done yet, because I still got the beef. And I take the beef and just spread it nicely on top of the eggs like that. I don't think there's a better combination in the world besides ground beef and eggs. Like the combination is so ruthless, it's so dangerous that it tastes phenomenal. So now that I got my rice as the base, my eggs, my ground beef, now I like to get a little bit of tomatoes on the side. Cut up some tomatoes and then just put them in order to add some, like fruits and vegetables. They add life. They add life into food. So I like to add some. Here's tomato. Add some little snippets to the side of my food. So I'm just gonna go like that. Cut that. You're a freak if you eat these parts on the tomatoes. Like I don't even understand how some people do that. But the last thing I want to leave you guys with is how to eat out without feeling guilty and still being able to lose weight. And the biggest thing that I implement is I plan ahead. So let's say, obviously if it's spontaneous, you can't really do stuff, but like this isn't going to be about the spontaneous moments. These are like, okay, you're asking a girl out, or you're taking a girl out on a date Sunday. You and your boys are going to the bar to watch a movie. Not a movie, like you don't watch a movie at a bar. What am I saying? You and your boys are going to the bar to watch a game. You're gonna have like fries, wings, shit like that. It's gonna be a calorie heavy meal. So plan ahead. So okay, maybe pull back on Saturday on the amount of food you're gonna have and give yourself a little bit more wiggle room. That's why knowing your maintenance and knowing how much you're eating to lose weight, it's extremely important. Like for example, let's say you're gonna go out and roughly have like 3,000 calories, but you don't wanna to take yourself off track. So what are you gonna do? Let's say your maintenance is 2,500 and you're on 2,000 because you're in a 500 calorie deficit. This is how I would approach it. Okay, you're roughly gonna have, 25, call it, let's say even like insane amount of food. Like you wanna go full out, you wanna have 3,000 calories that day. You either are gonna have to set like a 2 to 3 day buffer, in the sense like this is how I would personally do it, just to keep my meals a little bit higher for all 3 of those days. Number 1, let's call it Saturday. Saturday, you're eating, 2,000 calories, that's your weight loss amount. Okay, pull back your meals, your calories on Saturday. So like you're eating 1,500 calories now for Saturday. So now you can move those 1,500 calories from Saturday to Sunday. So now on Sunday, instead of 2,000 calories, you have 2,500 calories. And then also Monday, call it. Let's say Monday, you pull 500 calories from Monday into Sunday as well. Now you have 3,000 calories for Sunday. Now you can just fast all Sunday morning and just go crazy on Sunday night because you have 3,000 calories of food left over to be able to eat. And then Monday, obviously, you have to have some restriction, and then you're back onto your diet. Tuesday, Wednesday, like the normal amount of food you're eating, 2,000 calories. And this is how I like to play with it and see it, because like I see my calories and my food and my macros almost like, if you ever played video games, you have like an HP bar at the bottom corner or like somewhere there. And just play with your calories and your macros like your HP, right? You have full bars for 1 week. You don't have to spend, in 1 week is the most important part to keep in mind, because you don't have to spend, because when you hyperfixate on one day, it gets a little bit stressful and harder. But if you pull it out to a week, fat loss becomes so much easier. When I started tracking my calories like throughout the week, it's just, life becomes so much more enjoyable. Life becomes less stressful, and you could just, live your life without hyper fixating on that single day. Oh, what did I eat today? Oh, this, that. It's just like, okay, chill out and watch yourself from the week. So yeah, those are my, thanks for cooking breakfast with me. Those are my kind of three points and tips onto how to eat out without feeling guilty and, still gaining weight on the side of the things. So to recap, number 1, be disciplined when you're alone. When no one is watching, have the same exact meals. Track your shit if you have time. If not, if you have money, buy a meal program, or hire somebody to cook your stuff. And if you don't, then pay the sacrifice, cook your own meals. Don't be lazy. Stay up 30 minutes before going to bed. Don't watch another episode of that Netflix series. Plan your shit. Number 2, obviously don't eat out every single day, because that's just a recipe for gaining weight. That's just a recipe for just indulgence. Treat it as a privilege rather than a reward and a constant pleasure. Cook your own meals. If you have money, buy the meal programs like I said. And lastly, plan ahead. If you're going to go out on Sunday, be conscious and keep your food intake a little bit lower that next day or that same day. Like I said, if you're going to blow through 3,000 calories in one day, which is a lot of food, a lot of processed food also, so it depends on like the meals you're going to have, if it's processed versus unprocessed. Keep the calories lower in the morning of the day so you can enjoy your nights a little bit a little bit more. And yeah, that's typically my three tips and approaches on how to eat out and not feel guilty about it, and while maintaining a calorie deficit and a state of fat loss. Here's the final meal for the video. We've got rice, 4 eggs, 130 grams of ground beef, and some tomatoes on the side. And then I'm going to kick an orange with a tablespoon of honey before my workout. And as always, we're going to have an amazing day. I love you guys. If you're new here, create more than you consume, serve others, love everyone. Subscribe if you're new, like the video. And yeah, love you guys. Peace.